we were virtually 100% reliant on masks and 95 masks that were made in China and Korea and not in the United States. And so when you have a medical crisis in the early days of COVID and we're like, we need hundreds of millions of masks yesterday,
Mhm.
they're all made somewhere else. We do not want to be in that situation. So it would absolutely make sense to have a tariff on masks to make sure that they are so expensive to import overseas that we have to start making them in the United States. That makes sense. Same with military equipment. You do not want to go to war with a country and be reliant on that country to make your military gear, your bullets and your bombs and your tanks and whatnot. Absolutely makes sense to have a tariff on that to make sure they're made in the United States. That said, so it's not black and white, but to have a blanket tariff and say everything that comes from any country, anywhere in the world, and China's going to be this to an extreme degree, is going to have a tariff on it. And whether that's between 10% for all countries or 145% from China, I've used this analogy before that if you talk to dietitians, there is a huge amount of debate over what's the best diet should you eat. Should you be keto? Should you be vegan? Like everything in between. There's so much debate. All of them agree that processed sugar is bad. Nobody thinks processed sugar is good. And tariffs are that with economists. Like there is so much debate among economists on what should the tax rate be? What should subsidies be? Should we, like free market versus subsidies? There's so much debate. No serious economist thinks that you should have a trade war. And the thing is, this is not new. We've been doing this for hundreds of years. And it's very well known that in the 1930s, the Great Depression, we put huge tariffs on in the early days of the Great Depression. They didn't know it was called the Great Depression back then because we put them on and it shut down global trade. And it's easy to think that if you put tariffs on your own country, that will make it easier to manufacture. Like all those jobs that we shipped overseas of building cars, they're all going to come rushing back to America. And it very rarely happens like that when you have a trade war. But what I mean by trade war is we put tariffs on China, they respond to put tariffs on us, and you just go tit for tat, and you go back and forth, and it's like mutually assured destruction in economic terms.
So why is Trump doing it then, in your view? Because he's given lots of reasons. He said that they're ripping us off. He says lots of countries have been ripping off the United States. How do you unpack what he's saying there, and what do you believe the true reason is underneath there?
To his credit, Trump has been very consistent on this for literally 40 years.